and welcome to the featured discussion for 13 August 2021. My name is Harsh Singh and this featured discussion is on a very important critical topic from the perspective of climate change. Right, IPCC has released its 6th assessment report, the first component of this report, and therefore this report forms the policy foundation for the governance, climate governance around the world. Right, so we will discuss in this article what this report says, a quick summary of it, and also understand some basics about IPCC. Right, so firstly, IPCC, is it a research body or is it a body which audits the research, or is it the one which reviews the work? Now, IPCC is an organization which reviews the important works around the world, right, related to climate change. It is not the body which carries out research or monitors the research. So this is how it goes ahead with printing the assessment report, right, review and assessment of all the research activities conducted with respect to climate change, right. So this is the first thing about it. The second important thing is that it was initiated in the year 1988 by WMO and UNEP, United Nations Environment Programme and World Meteorological Organization. This is an intergovernmental body. That means it is not a multi-stakeholder body. The members of this organization are different nation states. So countries are the members, right? Not NGOs and not foundations, not individual members, but countries, right? Also, so the report that has been released, it talks about the human-induced climate change, the impacts of it and how it can be mitigated. So the working group 1, which has presented the report, it talks about the scientific basis for climate change. So that is why the name of the report is the physical science basis. The second working group is going to present its report and it will talk about the various impacts and vulnerabilities. And the third is how to mitigate. So you can see a very much sequential organization, right? So basis of change is scientific, that is human induced, then after that the impacts, and then the third is mitigation, right? So these are the three sequences in which reports are released. Now IPCC is a very important report because after its formation in 1988, the first report it released, after that formed the foundation for UNFCCC in 1992. The second report that it released formed the foundation for Kyoto Protocol. Right. Similarly, the fourth assessment report that it released, it also made it win the Nobel Peace Prize around the world. The fifth assessment report formed the foundation for Paris Deal. So this report that will be released also will form an important, very important foundation parameter for the future climate governance. So what are the key highlights of this report? Firstly, it says that the temperature around the world will cross 1.5 degrees in 20 years. In just 20 years, and we were thinking of having the earth cross this 1.5 degree maximum by 2100, right? But this will happen in next 20 years itself. So that is the kind of crisis. In fact, this will not stop. This will keep increasing and it will go to 2 degrees also by the middle of the century itself, right? The idea that it says that the way we are proceeding, we might increase the temperature of the whole earth by 4 to 5 degrees Celsius by the end of the century. Imagine, how will we survive? How will the animals and plants survive? Will they evolve at this rate? No. And this is where the whole destruction of the world will get initiated, right? It says that the last decade was the hottest decade in the past 1,25,000 years, right? So carbon concentration and the concentration of the other gases, the gases that are human induced caused by greenhouse and global warming, they have increased, and this is where human impact has played its role. So this is what the report says, right? We also studied carbon cycle feedback yesterday in snapshots, just in reference to the increase in carbon dioxide proportion. We also studied ocean circulation, right? Atlantic meridional ocean circulation, right? Yesterday. And this is how we can relate all those articles to this one, because they are also a part of this particular report, right? So we will discuss the small components, the important components of the reports in detail. However, a quick summary also must be provided to you, right? The report talks of carbon budget. In carbon budget, it says that there should be a maximum amount of limit how much carbon we can spend in the whole earth, because if we keep on spending it, there will be increase in the global warming greenhouse gases, and because of that we will cross the tipping point, that is 1.5 degree Celsius temperature. And for that, it also presents some strategy. It says that if we achieve the net zero status by 2040, there are only two-third chances that we will not cross 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature rise. And if we achieve the net zero status by 2050, there are only 1/3 chances that we will not cross 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature. So carbon budgeting is very important for the nations around the world, right? It says that the relative efficiency of sinks, carbon sink. So ocean is a carbon sink, right? These trees are carbon sink. The soil is a carbon sink. These are the places where carbon gets absorbed. So these sinks, the efficiency of these sinks has reduced with time because of climate change, because of our non-integrated activities, pollution, increase in pollution, soil pollution, ocean pollution, decrease in forest, etc. Right? So therefore, instead of trying to increase the efficiency of sinks, what we must focus on is the carbon budget. This is what the report also says. The report speaks of a rise in sea level. It says that there has been a rise in sea level around 20 centimeter of sea level rise. So the scale that we use, the small scale, this is 15 centimeter scale. 20 centimeter rise has happened in this particular decade, in this 120 years itself, right? It also says that the major contributor for sea level rise is the expansion of water, thermal expansion. Why? Because anything that is heated, it expands first. So water has expanded, and the second one is the loss of the ice, right? So the permafrost is melting, a lot of ice around the ice caps are melting, and that mass loss leads to the rise in sea level, right? It also talks of the major regions which will get impacted in different degrees, right? We have studied this in various case studies. NASA also presents what will be the sea level rise at various places up to the year 2150, right? So we studied this in day before's case study also. The most important part to note here is that India also will be equally impacted. Please note one important thing, that the tropical areas definitely will be impacted. There will be rise in temperature. However, the temperate and the polar areas will face more of these rise in temperature because they were lower in temperature, and therefore the earth will try to mediate the temperature throughout the whole earth. The earth will try to balance, and therefore the impact on the temperate and the polar areas will be more. Right? So this is one important thing of the report, right? Present of the report. There will be high number of extreme events. We have seen that happening already. This is not going to change suddenly. The number of extreme events will keep on rising, right? It is not that the tipping point, when the tipping point is reached, only after that certain things will happen. They have already started to happen, and we have seen that in the increased number of floods, the flash floods, right? Increased number of the cyclones, disasters that are happening around the world, forest fires, etc. Right? Now, quickly let us look at the amount of the proportion of emissions of various countries. So China contributing 28% of the global emissions, America 15, almost half of it, India almost half again, 6%, and EU is above India if European Union is considered, Germany, France, UK, Italy, all of them together. But it is below India if individual nations are concerned. So China, USA, and then third is India or EU, depending on how you take it. Then Russia and Japan. So these are the major contributors to the greenhouse gases. So this is where the budgeting of all these nations is required, right? So the budget has to be limited, but in reality, the share of the budget of these developed countries that has actually increased. So they must decrease it. This is the main idea, right? What is in for India? Now, the realities in India is that India is a poor country, right? Poor country, and India is one of the most vulnerable countries with respect to the disasters that happen here. And climate change is one of the important factors because of its disasters happen. And therefore, India must manage its own climate crisis by itself. Also collaborate with other countries, right? So this is what the report also presents, right? So the future trends are more important to be seen, and these are the trends which will help us understand what is the gravity of the situation, right? The idea is to have cooperation among all the countries, and this is the solution to a problem that is for the whole earth, right? So after having understood a quick summary of the whole report, now you can take 30 seconds off to think about what we spoke of, to think about various dimensions of climate change and IPCC report, and after that you can attempt this question. The question is, what are the key highlights of the IPCC AR6 Assessment Report 6? Explain its relevance to Earth future. Thanks for watching.